Humanity didn't discover sweetness in a kitchen, but in the wild. Honeycombs, wild fruits, and the hidden saps of trees were our very first teachers of sweet taste. In ancient times, sweetness was more than flavor. It signaled safe food and quick energy. Date syrup in Mesopotamia, grape molasses and honey in Egypt became humanity's first sweet reserves. Honey was often seen as a divine gift, revealing how emotional our bond with sweetness has always been. Once humans tasted sweet, they never truly imagined a life without it. For centuries, sweetness meant honey and fruit, until a tall green plant appeared, sugarcane. That plant opened the door to a new era of sweetness. Sugarcane was first domesticated in New Guinea. People chewed the stalks for their sweet juice, then learned to boil it into syrup. Sailors carried it to India and southern China, where craftsmen refined the juice into crystals called kanda. Over time, sugarcane spread through Persia into the Middle East and the Mediterranean. For the first time, sweetness wasn't just something you found in nature, it was something you could plant, grow, and harvest. In the ancient world, sweetness was more than a pleasure. It was tied to power, ritual, and belief. Each civilization shaped its desserts according to its land, its gods, and its imagination. Egypt treated honey as a gift from the gods and used it in ritual pastries. Rome created lavish honey and grape desserts for banquets. Persia designed edible splendor with rosewater and saffron, while India wove milk and jaggery-based sweets into both daily life and temple offerings. As trade routes connected these empires, their desserts traveled and blended. Sweetness became a quiet messenger between civilizations, changing shape but growing richer with every exchange. In the Middle Ages, sugar wasn't a pantry staple, it was a rare and precious medicine. Islamic physicians prescribed sugary syrups as remedies, and in the kitchen, sugar appeared mostly on special occasions. Through the Crusades and trade, sugar entered Europe. In the 12th century England, it was still sold in apothecaries as a spice. But as nobles developed a taste for it, sugar quickly became a symbol of status. In the 15th and 16th centuries, rising European demand led to massive sugar plantations across the Atlantic. Sugar sweetened European tables while becoming deeply entangled with slavery and colonial exploitation. Between the 9th and 15th centuries, the Islamic world became a laboratory of sweets. Arab, Persian, and Turkic masters experimented with sugar, honey, almonds, and spices to create new techniques. Sherbets mixed rosewater, pomegranate, and lemon into icy drinks. Halva evolved into hundreds of types made from flour, butter, and sugar. Almond paste started as a medicinal tonic and soon became a moldable, delicate sweet. Techniques like boiling syrups, caramelizing sugar, and crystallization spread from the Islamic world into Europe. Much of what we now call candy can trace its roots back to this inventive age. In the Ottoman Empire, sweets were a full-fledged art form at the palace. In Topkapi's Helvahane, master confectioners worked year-round on halva, lokum, sherbets, and jams, perfecting the craft of sugar. Baklava, gulach, ashura, zerde, and milk puddings became staples of both royal banquets and urban homes. Mesir paste and colourful street machun sweets embodied an Ottoman tradition where dessert met herbal medicine. Sugar sculptures decorated weddings, and during Ramadan, the baklava procession delivered trays of baklava to the janissaries. In this world, desserts were not just treats, they were symbols of healing, prestige, and even political signalling. After the Renaissance, sugar rapidly reshaped European cooking. Italy's rich dessert repertoire spread to France and beyond, triggering a new age of pastry. Catherine de' Medici brought pastry chefs and treats like macarons from Florence to France. In the 16th and 17th centuries, pastry guilds formed in Paris and London. Early patisseries opened, and desserts moved from courts into city life. Masters like Carême designed towering cakes and architectural sugar pieces, while croissants, eclairs and charlottes became classics. French patisserie anchored dessert in both everyday life and the world of haute cuisine. Between the 16th and 18th centuries, sugar consumption in Europe multiplied. Desserts that were once reserved for special occasions gradually became part of ordinary meals. In England, cakes and biscuits at tea time emerged as a new ritual, while in Central Europe, pastries with coffee became standard. Dessert was no longer just for the elite, it was woven into urban lifestyle. By the end of this period, Europe had both the sugar supply and the cultural habit of ending meals with dessert. The next step, industrialization, would push this sweet habit onto a global scale. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution transformed sugar once again. Beet sugar production slashed prices, and for the first time made sweetness truly accessible to the masses. Chocolate shifted from a homemade luxury drink to an industrial product. Van Houten's cocoa press, followed by milk chocolate and conching, allowed brands like Cadbury, Nestlé, Lindt and Hershey to spread chocolate worldwide. Caramels, jellies, biscuits and packaged cakes laid the foundation of modern candy. Dessert was no longer reserved for holidays. It became a constant companion on store shelves, in work breaks and at the cinema. Today, dessert culture is fully global. On the same street, you might find baklava, donuts and mochi. Industrial sweets fill our daily lives, yet interest in artisan and local desserts is rising again. Sweets offered at the end of Ramadan, birthday cakes, Diwali treats, New Year cookies. Across cultures, desserts remain a language of celebration, sharing and good wishes. We debate the health effects of sugar, yet still reward ourselves with a small dessert. Maybe the real question isn't whether we should quit sweets, but how and how much we let them into our lives. So, after this story, which dessert will you reach for first?